Welcome back to our final section of Chapter 9, 9.3.3. We're going to be talking about factoring polynomials using some special factoring patterns. Now, the factoring patterns we want to be reminded of, a squared minus b squared. When you do that, you're going to get a plus b times a minus b. That's a very common one. Now, we have a newer one, a cubed plus b cubed. Now, this one's a little bit more in depth. When you factor that, you get a plus b, and then a squared minus ab plus b squared. And that's when it's a cubed plus b cubed. We also have a cubed minus b cubed. And this is the pattern you use when you have a perfect cube minus a perfect cube. And that is going to be a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. They're very similar except where the negatives are for those last two. So if we look at problem number 10, x cubed plus 27. That's in that form of a cubed plus b cubed. So it's going to be in the form of a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. Now to do that, to use that pattern, a is the square root of x cubed, and the square root of cube root of x cubed is x, and b is the cube root of 27, and the cube root of 27 is 3. So it's going to be a is x and b is our 3, so it's x plus 3. When you square the x, you get x squared minus 3 times x, and then 3 squared is 9, so plus 9. That's what you get when you factor. Let's skip to number 13 for right now. That's in the form of a cubed minus b cubed. It's a perfect cube minus a perfect cube. So the pattern is a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. A is the cube root of 8x cubed. The cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of x cubed is x. B is the cube root of 125, and the cube root of 125 is 5. Don't worry about the signs. You use the signs here. So it's going to be a minus b, 2x minus 5. Now, when you square the 2x, square the 2, which is 4, and then square the x, x squared. Plus ab, so plus 5 times 2x, so plus 10x, plus b squared. 5 squared is 25. And that is our answer through factoring. Those are a cubed plus b cubed and a cubed minus b cubed. Now, going to problems numbers 11 and 12, we have 4 terms. Think about factor by grouping. Greatest common factor of the first 2 terms, x squared. When you factor that out, you get x plus 7. Common factor of the last 2 terms, since the third term is negative, factor out a negative. And the common factor is 9. And then we're left x plus 7. Our common factor between those 2 big terms is x plus 7. And then we have x squared minus 9. X squared minus 9, that's a squared minus b squared. It's a plus b, a minus b. So it's x plus 7. And the square root of x squared is x. So x goes in the first spot. The square root of 9 is 3. And then you put your plus and your minus to finish up. And that is that polynomial factor. Now, for number 12, same thing, 4 terms, factor by grouping. Common factor of the first 2 terms is 9x squared. And that leaves us a 3x plus 5. Third term's negative, take out a negative 1, and then 3x plus 5. So our common factor is 3x plus 5, and then we're left with a 9x squared minus 1. 9x squared minus 1, perfect square minus a perfect square, So 3x plus 5. It's one of our special cases. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. The square root of 1 is 1. And then we just put our plus and a minus to finish up. Let's go to the next page, please. Perfect cube plus a perfect cube. It's in that form of a cubed plus b cubed. So it's going to be in the form of a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. So a is the cube root of 27x cubed. The cube root of 27 is 3. Cube root of x cubed is x. B is the cube root of 64, and the cube root of 64 is 4. So we just fill in our values. 3x plus 4. Now for a squared, we square the 3 and the x. You get 9x squared minus ab. So minus 4 times 3x is negative 12x plus 4 squared, which is 16. And there is our factoring. Problem number 15. We can factor out a 10. That's a common factor. Then we're 10. X to the fourth minus 1. Now, x to the fourth is a perfect square. And so is 1. So it's in the form of a squared minus b squared. Remember that a plus b, a minus b. So we factor it, we have 10. Now the square root of x to the fourth is x squared. And the square root of 1 is 1. So to finish up, we just put a plus and a minus. Now, I can't do anything with x squared plus 1, but x squared minus 1 can be factored again. That's, once again, a squared minus b squared form. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 1 is 1, and we just put our plus and our minus, and that will finish up the factoring of that polynomial. That's very similar to problem number 16. That's at a squared minus b squared. So now, the square root of x to the fourth is x squared. The square root of 25 is 5. And to finish up, you put a plus and a minus, and you are done. 4 terms. Think factor by grouping. Common factor of the first 2 terms, 4x squared. That gives us an x plus 2. Greatest common factor of the last 2 terms, since it's a negative, we take out a negative 9, x plus 2. So our common factor is x plus 2. And then we're left with a 4x squared minus 9. Hopefully you're recognizing that a squared minus b squared. So it's x plus 2. 2x is the square root of 4x squared. Square root of 9 is 3, and then put a plus and a minus, and you are, for number 18, it's a polynomial in quadratic form. So we factor it just like we would normally do. So we can multiply the first and last terms, negative 72x to the fourth, and our negative x squared. Now to get to a negative 72 and add to negative 1, negative 9x squared, and a positive 8x squared. So now when we set it up, 3x to the fourth minus 9x squared plus 8x squared minus 24. Factor by grouping, the greatest common factor is 3x squared, and that leaves us x squared minus 3. Last 2 terms, we have a positive 8, and that leaves us x squared minus 3. So now, x squared minus 3 is a common factor, and then we're left with 3x squared plus 8. Those can't be factored any further. There we go. That's a polynomial in quadratic form. Now for the last 2 terms, or the last couple of problems. Number 19, factor out a negative 5. And that leaves us x cubed minus 64. There's that a cubed minus b cubed. So it's going to be a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. So a is the cube root of x cubed, which is x, and b is the cube root of 64, which is 4. So it's negative 5, don't forget that. And then it's just going to be x minus 4, x squared plus 4x plus 4 squared, which is 16. And that is factored. Number 20 is another polynomial in quadratic form. Now, for x squared, or x to the fourth, excuse me, it's an x squared and x squared. Now, to multiply to 12 and add to negative 7, we have a negative 3 and a negative 4. Now, I can factor x squared minus 4 further. So it's x squared minus 3. And then it's going to be x, and the square root of 4 is 2. X, 2, and 2. So plus and minus, that is fully factored. Number 21, look for that greatest common factor first. Biggest number goes into all of them is a 2x. When I divide each term by 2x, I get 8x squared minus 22x minus 21. And now we can factor it as normal. That's going to be a negative 168x squared and a negative 22x. Now the numbers that multiply to negative 168 and add to negative 22 are, you're going to get a negative 28x and a positive 6x. So we have 2x, factor by grouping. So we have our 8x squared at the front, and at the end a negative 21, and in the middle negative 28x and a positive 6x. So we have that 2x is kind of hanging out waiting. Greatest common factor of 8x squared and negative 28 is 4x. And that would leave us a 2x minus 7. Last two terms, the greatest common factor is a positive 3, 2x minus 7. So we have our 2x waiting around still. So we have our 2x minus 7 and our 4x plus 3. There's our factoring. Last two, look for the greatest common factor, number 22, and that's just an x. So we're left with x to the fourth minus 8x squared plus 12. Now we can just factor this. It's a polynomial in quadratic form, so the factors of x to the fourth are x squared and x squared. Numbers that multiply to 12 and add to negative 8 are going to be a minus 2 and a minus 6. And that's all we can do. We can't factor that any further. And then for the last one, another polynomial in quadratic form. So we have negative 90x to the fourth and a negative 13x squared. Now to multiply to negative 90 and add to negative 13 is going to be a negative 18x squared and a positive 5x squared. So we have our 2x to the fourth in front, and at the end a negative 45. Then we have our negative 18x and our positive 5x. Factor by x squareds. Factor by grouping, the common factor of the first two terms, 2x squared, and that's x squared minus 9. Last two terms, we have a positive 5, and that's x squared minus 9. So the common factor is x squared minus 9, 2x squared plus 5. So now we can factor x squared minus 9. That's going to be x plus 3, x minus 3, and then 2x squared plus 5. And that is additional factoring of these polynomials. We had a couple special cases and some factor by grouping and polynomials in quadratic form. Thank you.